Listen carefully, because what I'm about to say isn't wrapped in comfort. It's wrapped in truth. You were born to win. Every cell in your body was built for domination, not defeat. And yet, here you are, losing, hesitating, whining. Why? Because you've been brainwashed into believing that weakness is noble and quitting is acceptable. It's not. This world, it's not fair. It doesn't care how you feel. It respects action, discipline. Ruthless consistency, but you've chosen the coward's path. You've romanticized failure. You've convinced yourself that mediocrity is your destiny. That's a lie, and deep down you know it. Every morning you wake up, the war starts again. And most of you are waving white flags before your feet hit the ground. Pathetic. You weren't born for that. You were born to conquer, to build, to dominate. But instead, you scroll, you snooze, you settle. And every time you do, you're betraying the warrior inside you. So I'm here to rip the veil off your excuses and force you to face yourself. No more hiding, no more losing like a coward. The time to rise starts now. Life isn't a gentle stroll down a sunlit path. It's a brutal, relentless battlefield where the only way to survive is to embrace the fight. From the moment you draw your first breath, evolution has strapped a sword to your back and told you to cut through every obstacle standing between you and your next victory. Yet most of you have traded that sword for a soft pillow, spooning comfort like its nourishment. You forget that comfort is a mirage. It looks inviting, but it's nothing more than quicks, and slowly swallowing your potential. While you cuddle up in your warm little bubble, the world rips ahead without you, leaving you gasping for air in the dust of those who chose action over ease. Think about it. Every day you make a choice, press snooze or leap out of bed, scroll social media or read a book, order takeout or cook something that fuels your body. Those decisions seem insignificant, but they're the rungs on the ladder to your future. You climb one rung at a time, and as long as you cling to convenience, you'll never see the summit. Meanwhile, the few who do reject comfort. They're the ones who get there. They get the promotions, the respect, the wealth, the power. You might tell yourself you're working toward something, but if your work fits neatly into the extra space of your comfortable life, then you're fooling yourself. Real work demands discomfort. Real progress demands you tear yourself away from the familiar and wade into the unknown. Your excuses are the armor you wear to justify laziness. I'm tired. You say, I'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow is just today's shadow, and it catches up to you every single time. You've been lied to. That rest is your reward. No, it's your punishment. Every minute you rest is a minute stolen from the warrior essence pulsing through your veins. Your ancestors didn't survive plagues, wars, and famines by lounging on cushions. They got their hands bloody so you could have a bed softer than a cloud. Then you repay their sacrifices by treating challenge like a disease and comfort like a cure. This is cowardice masquerading as self-care. Imagine a soldier entering a war zone and insisting on soft walls, a plush bed, and a thermostat set to exactly the right temperature. The enemy would pick him off in seconds. That's you, on a mental and emotional battlefield, crying for creature comforts while your dreams bleed out in the trenches. You aren't allergic to risk. You're addicted to safety. Safety is a trap. Safety is a slow, silent murderer. It dulls your senses, numbs your ambition, and lulls you into believing you're okay with where you are. I'm comfortable becomes I'm content. In contentment is the death knell of greatness. There is no room for contentment in a life worth fighting for. Every champion, every titan, every person who etched their name into history did so by staring down discomfort and laughing. They didn't wait for inspiration to strike. They carved it out with sheer will, forged it in the furnace of adversity. You claim you want success, but when success shows up wearing its ugly face, sacrifice, pain, endless grind, you turn away. That's the moment that defines you. Do you reach for the flame even if it burns, or do you step back, clutch your blanket, and let opportunity perish on the battlefield? History isn't written by spectators. It's written by the ones who pick up the sword, who grease their knuckles with sweat and blood, who stare into the abyss and leap. So stop being polite to your comfort zone, tear down its walls, burn its bridges, and march straight into the chaos you've been avoiding. Because in that chaos lies your destiny. The world owes you nothing, and the second you accept that, you become unstoppable. Every second you waste pampering your fears, you're voluntarily walking into a ditch you'll struggle to climb out of. You were born to dominate, and domination requires you to choose conquest over comfort every single day. It's time to remember who you really are and why you were put on this earth. To fight, to win, and to leave no doubt in anyone's mind that you're a force to be reckoned with. Every human being who has ever walked this planet arrived with a spark of greatness burning within, a raw, untapped reservoir of potential that predates your first breath. From the moment you came into the world, you carried within you the same ability to learn, adapt, and overcome that has driven explorers across oceans and astronauts into space. Yet for most, that flame flickers half alive, suffocated by doubt, fear, and the dull routine of day-to-day existence. You stare at your reflection each morning and see an ordinary person, but beneath that surface lies something extraordinary, waiting for the relentless few to claim it. You weren't assembled from spare parts. You were forged with purpose and designed to break barriers, not blend in with a crowd. Think about every innovation that has redefined human history. Someone had the audacity to believe that the impossible was simply the unattempted. They didn't wait for approval or guidance. They recognized that greatness isn't handed out. It's wrested from the hands of complacency. And that same opportunity sits before you now, staring you in the face in every decision you make. When you choose to hit snooze, you delay your destiny. When you choose the easy path, you bypass the lessons that carve champions out of the raw material of life. Potential is useless until you give it purpose, until you force it into the furnace of action and temper it with relentless effort. You might argue that life isn't fair, that some people have advantages you lack. Fine, you're born with a body, a mind, a beating heart. And in that, you have everything you need. Greatness isn't reserved for the genetically gifted or those born into wealth. It's reserved for the willing. History is littered with examples of people who transcended every limitation. A young immigrant learning a new language, an injured veteran reinventing himself, a single parent building an empire from scratch. They succeeded not because they had more potential, but because they refused to let their potential sit dormant. They made their circumstances the fuel for their rise rather than the anchor for their fall. Potential without persistence is like a kingdom with no army, beautiful on the blueprint, useless in reality. You could dream of financial freedom, of strength, of influence, but dreams are whispers in the dark until action amplifies them into roars. Every time you push yourself through a workout when your body begs for rest, every time you read when distraction beckons, you're chiseling away at the stone of your limitations, revealing the statue of your true capability. Each repetition, each page read, each risk taken is an investment in the self that's waiting to emerge, disciplined, unwavering, unstoppable. It's easy to admire potential from the sidelines, to applaud someone else's triumphs while you remain safely on the bench. But admiration doesn't transform lives. Transformation demands sacrifice, your comfort, your excuses, your illusions of safety. It demands that you look in the mirror and accept that you have more to give, more to conquer, and more to become. The world respects results, not intentions, so stop excusing yourself with "I'm talented enough" or "I have potential." Every person on this planet has that claim. What sets you apart is whether you're willing to bleed for it, to grind day in and day out while others sleep, content with their half-lit flames. Imagine your life as an uncut diamond, brutal edges, hidden facets, potential lost in roughness. Only through relentless pressure, friction, and high heat does diamond reveal its brilliance. You are that diamond, the stress of adversity, the grind of discipline, the fire of your ambitions. They are all essential to bring out your luster. If you shy away from that pressure, you remain a pebble on the shore, unnoticed. If you embrace it, you become the cornerstone that others build upon, the guiding light that attracts attention and respect. So ask yourself right now, Are you going to let your potential flicker like a candle in the wind, vulnerable to every gust of circumstance, or are you going to shield it, fuel it, and turn it into a wildfire that can't be contained? There is no halfway. If you want to live with the regret of unexplored capacity, keep waiting for the perfect moment. But if you want to claim what's already yours by birthright, start right now, right here, and refuse to stop until the world takes notice of the inferno you unleash. Excuses are like chains wrapped around your ankles, dragging you down into the swamp of mediocrity. Every time you utter, "I can't," "I'm too tired," or "maybe later," you handcuff yourself to weakness and hand your dreams over to someone else's mercy. There is no room in a life of victory for concessions to frailty. If you want to be great, you must embrace an absolute refusal to tolerate your own softness. Real strength isn't just physical. It's mental, emotional, spiritual. It's the unbreakable conviction that quitting is never an option. When you allow a single excuse to slip past your lips, you concede ground to defeat, and defeat, once it has tasted your fear, will come charging back for more. Weakness masquerades in many forms: procrastination pretending to be prudence, self-doubt parading as humility, fatigue cloaked in the language of rest. But make no mistake, each disguise conceals the same poison. The moment you let any of these impostors into your head, they set up camp and multiply. You tell yourself you need a break, but breaks become lifestyles, and lifestyles become legacies of failure. You tell yourself you're overwhelmed, but overwhelmed people never learn to carry weight. They collapse under the first sign of resistance. Champions don't. Champions don't schedule excuses. They schedule action. The tide of life will batter you, but those who refuse to yield at the first wave are the ones who discover new shores. When you hear the siren call of comfort, you must treat it like an alarm. Comfort is the silent killer of ambition, whispering that a few more minutes in bed won't matter, that skipping one work won't make a difference, that delaying the hard conversation won't cost you much. All lies. Each concession erodes your character, lesson by lesson, until you look in the mirror and see someone who forgot what they were capable of. You weren't born to snooze alarms. You were born to set them off. You weren't born to skip challenges. You were born to crush them. If you say you don't have time, you're saying you don't have priorities. Make no mistake. Your schedule is a reflection of your will. If your will is weak, your schedule will betray you. Excuses are the anthem of cowards who lose on purpose. They serve as a smokescreen, allowing you to feel justified while you slip further from your goals. "I'm not ready," you say, and fail to recognize that readiness is a myth propagated by those afraid to begin. Every great endeavor starts with an imperfect first step, and every step after that builds momentum. Waiting for perfect conditions is a guaranteed path to stagnation. Mountains are climbed one foothold at a time, often in the rain, wind, and bitter cold. You don't wait for a sunny day. You pull your jacket tight and start climbing. You don't negotiate with circumstances. You transform them through sheer force of will. Your mind is like a muscle. If you coddle it, it atrophies. If you challenge it, it grows. When self-pity knocks at your door, you answer by pushing yourself harder, because nothing scorches weakness out of the soul like the heat of relentless effort. Pain is temporary, but the pride you build by refusing to bow to it endures. Weakness asks, "Why bother?" Strength says, "Because I must." Weakness hopes for miracles. Strength creates them. If you cannot stand firm in your own commitment, even the small ones, you will never stand tall against genuine adversity. The world doesn't reward intention. It rewards results. And results are born from an unwavering intolerance for excuses. Stop negotiating with yourself. Stop bargaining for loopholes that let you remain safe. You are not a bystander in your own life. Every excuse you accept is a vote against your future. Choose instead to vote for courage, to vote for discipline, to vote for a version of yourself that refuses to tolerate weakness in any form. Let every fiber of your being resonate with the message that you do not compromise, you do not delay, you do not falter. When you stand before the mirror tomorrow, hear your reflection roar, no excuses, and mean it. Time is the only currency you cannot earn back once it's spent, and yet most of you treat it like pennies dropped into a bottomless pit. You wake up to alarms that you snooze, mornings that drift into afternoons, and days that blur into weeks with nothing to show for them. The moment you hit that snooze button, you're actively choosing irrelevance over impact. Every second you waste scrolling through other people's highlights is a second stolen from your own story. The world doesn't pause for second chances. It spins on, unforgiving and relentless, leaving the idle and complacent behind. Imagine standing on a platform as a bullet train barrels past you at 200 miles per hour. Now, imagine that train is your potential, your one shot at the life you claim you want, and you're just standing there, not even moving toward the tracks. That's how absurd it is to let urgency slip through your fingers. The most successful people in history didn't wait for the stars to align. They treated each passing minute as a call to arms. When you live with intensity, you harness a force multiplied by every tick of the clock, turning what seems like small, ordinary moments into seismic shifts in your trajectory. Every time you delay, you concede valuable ground to competitors, to circumstances, to chance. You think you have time to get around to it later, but later is a myth. It's the name for a future that rarely arrives when you want it. Those who seize urgency claim victory in the present. They move fast, learn fast, and calibrate faster. They don't hesitate under the weight of uncertainty because they know that indecision breeds regret. They act now, iterate later, and accept that mistakes made in motion beat perfection, born from paralysis. Intensity isn't a romantic concept reserved for epic movie scenes. It's a deliberate choice you make every waking moment. It's the difference between half-hearted effort and uncompromising commitment. You walk into the gym to work out, or you walk in to own every rep, to dig deeper than your previous best, to leave nothing on the table. You approach work not as tasks to tick off, but as arenas where you demonstrate what you're made of. When you operate with urgency and intensity, you force your body, your mind, and your spirit into alignment, creating a feedback loop of adrenaline and achievement that propels you forward. Contrast that with the alternative, a steady trickle of wasted moments stacking up like bricks, building walls that separate you from your goals. Each pause, each distraction, each moment of hesitation becomes mortar in the prison you construct around yourself. The world's most dangerous weapon is a person who refuses to waste a moment. By the time you realize how much time you've squandered, that weapon has already carved its path to success, and you're left staring at the dust of opportunities that vanished while you were busy waiting. Urgency doesn't mean rushing mindlessly. It means recognizing that speed and precision can coexist. It means sharpening your focus until distractions fall away and trivialities no longer command your attention. It means setting deadlines so close that they scare you, because fear of failure combined with urgency is a powerful motivator. Fear by itself can paralyze, but fear fueled by purpose and intensity morphs into courage. It forces you to confront challenges head on, to innovate under pressure, and to transform obstacles into stepping stones. Intensity means treating every task as if the world's eyes are on you. When you type an email, you do it with the same ferocity as a champion defending a title. When you train, you push until your muscles tremble and your lungs burn. When you learn, you soak up knowledge with the hunger of someone who knows that every fact learned today is an edge tomorrow. You refuse to coast. To coast is to concede. You refuse to let tempo slip, because tempo is life. It's the rhythm that drives champions, and once you find your rhythm, it carries you through the fiercest storms. Time moves in one direction, and it moves fast. The person you are today will never be you tomorrow. The person you can become, however, depends entirely on how urgently and intensely you treat the present. If you waste this moment, you hand your future over to chance. But if you seize it with every ounce of willpower you possess, you bend the trajectory of your life toward greatness. You become that force that reshapes markets, that dominates fields, that inspires armies. And you do it not because you're lucky or gifted, but because you refuse to let a single second slip away. So when your alarm goes off tomorrow morning, don't negotiate. When an email pops up, don't delay. When an opportunity knocks, don't hesitate. Move with the speed of a hunting predator and the focus of a master tactician. Make every heartbeat count, because every second wasted is a step closer to irrelevance, but every second seized is a foundation for a legacy. Listen up, because this isn't a pep talk for tomorrow. It's a call to arms for right now. You've been living in lullabies of someday and one day, letting the wake-up call slip through the cracks of your half-hearted ambition. But the world doesn't owe you a tomorrow. It rewards the person who stares down fear, pulverizes hesitation, and forces the present moment into their own image of victory. You think champions were born under spotlights. They ignited those spotlights by choosing to rise while others slept. You think leaders waited for permission. They carved out permission with the razor blade of relentless action. And you've been waiting for an invitation to greatness that was already stamped with your name at birth. Right this second, you have a choice. Shrink into the shadows of your doubts or stand up and declare war on your own limitations. Every second you remain in neutral, drifting on autopilot. You're gifting your potential to the void. The void doesn't care about regret or frustration or what-ifs. It swallows dreams whole and buries them under the rubble of excuse, but you can claw them back, right now, by choosing to rise above every voice in your head telling you to wait until everything's perfect. Perfect never comes. Perfect is the world's greatest lie to keep you comfortable, complacent, and invisible. Feel that itch inside you, the one that whispers you could do more. That's not your enemy, it's your compass. It's pointing you toward the battlefield where your next victory awaits. Too many of you ignore it, preferring the anesthetic comfort of routine over the rawness of challenge. You think you need more resources, more connections, more free time. Here's the truth. Resources follow results. Connections follow confidence. Free time is borrowed from the margins of your life when you dominate your priorities. There is no perfect setup, only the moment you decide to stop playing small and start playing for keeps. Now, let's get personal. When was the last time you felt truly alive? I'm not talking about the buzz of a late night party or the numb thrill of scrolling through highlights. I mean the pulse, racing gut, churning surge of stepping into the unknown and conquering it. You felt that on your first big challenge, maybe it was a test, a competition, a confrontation, before you allowed fear to muscle you back into the bleachers. You think you're protecting yourself by staying safe. You're bankrupting your potential. Growth only happens when you stretch, when you push past what you thought possible, when you stare at the impossible and then smash it to dust with the hammer of your will. Don't wait for a better mindset, a better mood, or a better break. All those are manufactured in the crucible of action. You create momentum by moving your feet, by placing one deliberate step in front of the other, even when your body screams to stop. You build resilience by proving to yourself, over and over, that you're made from something more than wishful thinking. And every time you do, you send a message to the universe. Here I am. I refuse to be ignored. Opportunities aren't stumbling blocks, they're stepping stones. If you have the guts to step on them instead of around them, remember, your competition isn't the person next to you. It's the version of you that chose comfort over conquest yesterday. That version will come knocking again today, offering sweet lies about balance and rest. Balance is earned through the mastery of extremes, not the equal distribution of mediocrity. Rest is the reward for the battle, not the refuge from the fight. You don't train your mind by petting it. You train it by challenging it, by exposing it to fire and testing how brightly it burns. So let the heat of this moment fuel you. Let the sting of your own excuses sharpen you. Let the urgency of now be the ammunition that tears down every wall holding you back. So stand up, open your eyes, feel your blood pulsing through your veins, begging for purpose. Shout at the silence around you, I am here to conquer. And then move. Move with intention, move with ferocity, move like the person you know you can become if only you decide that no obstacle is too big, no fear too paralyzing, and no moment too small to seize. The battlefield of your life is waiting. The enemy is your own hesitation, and the only way to win is to rise, right now and every moment after, until there's nothing left standing in your way.